I'm gonna go over my top 10 tips and tricks for the Ninja Woodfire Grill. Plus, I'm gonna throw a little 6-month review on there. Guys, there's no fancy B-roll for this one. We're just gonna jump into it. So make sure you tune in to the end. All that good stuff, like, subscribe, all that, YouTube stuff. Guys, I literally have a couple pages of notes here. I'm gonna go over this, but these are just my opinions and experiences with the Ninja Woodfire Grill. This isn't a sponsored video by Ninja or anything like that. They have no say in what I'm saying. They probably won't agree with half the stuff I say, but that's okay. I want to kind of go through this. Recently, I put it out to a few of my groups in Facebook. If they had any questions, thoughts, concerns about the Ninja Woodfire Grill that I could address on this. As I went through the groups, there were tons of questions, tons of comments, thoughts, whatever. So I had to kind of whittle that down, and this is what I came up with. Okay, right here I'll overlay the timestamps for each question I go over and the review at the end. That way, if you want to jump forward in the video, feel free to do that. All right, well, first up, a lot of y'all know it comes with an owner's manual. It comes with a recipe start guide, quick start guide, recipe book. My first tip is to actually read the owner's manual. Okay, now if you're like most people, like I am, I just threw this to the side, which being the fact that I'm actually on camera here and I'm providing videos from the jump with this thing, I probably should have spent a little more time on this, but that's okay. You live and you learn. So my first tip, read this bad boy right here. There's definitely a lot of information in there that you can run through, and it might answer some of your pertinent questions. The next thing, still with tip number 1, this recipe book, freaking toss it. I went through that thing. It's funny, I didn't go through the owner's manual, but I went through the quick start guide. And if you use the recipes how they say to use them in there, my opinion, right, you're probably going to ruin your proteins. Okay, what I feel they did was they had people that work in their test kitchens develop recipes for this thing, and to me, they probably should have had some like barbecue people, barbecue chefs, pit masters, whatever, spend some time with this, and then adopt those techniques to put in the recipe book. That's my little rant. I know I've talked about it before. I have experience with barbecue. You guys see my backyard. Well, I know I went like this, and then all you see is chairs and pool, but to my left over here, I have 10 different grills and smokers. Okay, so I have experience with it. So that's why I've been able to develop these recipes using kind of smoking techniques in this grill. Okay, if you want to go off the recipe book, you can, but in essence, try to find people that have a little bit more experience and they're putting out content like this, and you'll be able to see kind of the differences from what you see in the book to what really is turning out good product. The thing I go to, and I think I did it in the rib video, is if you look at that guidebook and you look at the ribs, well, they want you just to cook it the smoker setting for 4 hours, right? And all it does is look like burnt ribs. So they probably burned the ribs and dried them out. Just kind of think about that. I will actually put the playlist for my Ninja Woodfire Grill videos. I'll put it linked in the description too. Okay, I think I have about 30 or so videos, not entirely sure, but close to that. And I did my best to cook every kind of main protein that you would cook in a smoker. You'll have those options. So tip number 2, or question number 2 or whatever, do you have to use the Ninja brand pellets? No, you don't. If you read a little bit more into the owner's manual, you'll see that it's any food safe pellets. Any pellets will work. I have Pit Boss pellets, I have Traeger pellets, off-brand pellets in there. Okay, I've used them all and they all work just fine. The next question that usually leads into is, can you use the charcoal pellets? Now, I have not thus far. I would think you could. They're gonna burn and smolder the same way a wood pellet would, right? And that ash would fall through the pellet hopper deal over here. So I'm not gonna say yes, I'm not gonna say no. My thought is probably yes. But what I want you guys to keep in mind is that this is a very condensed space, a very smallish cooker, right? So you're pumping in a lot of that smoke and that flavor into that little condensed space where your protein is, okay? So to me, burned charcoal is a fairly strong flavor, and you got to think about that if you want to put that into your condensed space. If you've actually tried charcoal pellets and you're watching this, throw a comment down below and let us know, how it worked out for you. Maybe I'll pin that comment, okay, so people can see it. Next tip and trick, I'm spending a little bit more time on the pellet side of this because, you bought this for a smoker. You bought it for the pellets, right? For the smoke flavor. So my next thing I want to talk about is adding more pellets when you're smoking. I've found that you usually burn through, one of these full of pellets within about 45 minutes, maybe stretch to an hour sometimes. If you're doing a long cook like a brisket, pork butt, all that, you might want to add more pellets to it. Once you burn through that first little cup of pellets, you can add more pellets to it, right, to the hopper or to the pellet cup, and hit that Woodfire flavor technology button, which going forward, I'm just gonna say Woodfire button, please. I don't have to keep saying that, all that. So you're gonna add those pellets in, hit that Woodfire button, hold it for 3 seconds. It'll fire through that ignition process again and give you a bit more smoke. The owner's manual states you can add more pellets to, kind of a half burned pellet box worth. I've tried that before and it didn't quite work out for me. The new pellets wouldn't catch. So in my experience with this, that doesn't work, but in the owner's manual it says you can add pellets to an already burning pellet box, okay? Give it a try. Let me know if it works for you, but I find that I can't get it to relight. It's not picking up the smolder, okay? All right, so number 4. Some people talk about how the smoke flavor can be a little overpowering. And to me, they're right, it can be. Here's some of the tips and tricks I use to avoid that. So again, I'm talking about pumping in smoke into a very condensed spot, a very condensed space in that grill. So it has an opportunity to be really overpowering, okay? And I get that. And I've had that experience too. I've talked to other people that have used this machine, and some of the things we kind of talked about was, if you're putting the meat in there and then starting the ignition process, if you do that, that might cause a little bit more heavy duty smoke, because it's going to get that quick, heavy duty white smoke in there. So that's going to definitely add a little bit more smoke flavor, and it might not be the best smoke flavor on your protein. So one of the things I do is I do not put the protein in the Woodfire grill until that ignition process has gone through. That heavy duty white smoke is burned out. So again, that helps limit that heavy duty smoke, takes a little bit of that acrid smoke out of there. Another thing that we've been trying to work on is using only about a half a cup of pellets in the pellet box. So only fill it up to about this line right there, right? Now, Ninja in their owner's manual says you need to fill it all the way to the top, but do not overflow it, because if you overflow, it could add, some extra oxygen and cause a flame up. So you never want to overfill that pellet box, okay? I find that if I drop it halfway through, especially if I'm doing something kind of simple and I'm just using that Woodfire button while I'm grilling something, or I don't want a lot of heavy smoke to it, but I want that Woodfire flavor, I will put it halfway through, burns relatively quickly through, gives me that smoke flavor I want, and then I move on with my life. So don't put that protein in there until the ignition process is done, and try a half a cup in the pellet hopper. See if it works for you. Okay, number 5, cleaning your Woodfire grill. Now, I already did a video about this. I went through how I do the cleaning on my Woodfire grill, and I'll put a link for it right there. Check it out. But as I say in that video, you're dealing with an outdoor grill. Now, all my grills are dirty. I keep them covered. I clean out the ash and all that stuff. I'll clean out grease. I'll clean out the grease traps. But no matter how much cleaning I do in there, it's never going to look factory pristine, right? It's never going to look, all the chrome's never going to be the same. Once you light that fire, the inside is never the same. Think about it the same way as an outdoor grill. You keep it covered, you do your best to clean it through, and you'll take some time and you can wipe down the dirty, right? All those particles in there. But again, you're never going to get all that black, heavy duty smoke that's been in there. You're not going to get that off unless you take the whole dang thing apart, soak it for days, use oven cleaner, do the whole bit. It's not worth it, and you don't need to worry about it. You're injecting so much heat into this thing. If there is a germ in there, it'll be killed, okay? And that's my opinion, right? It's not, verified, by the FDA, okay? So don't at me in the comments, but this is my opinion on what, cleaning your grill really does. You can maintain it, you keep it as clean as possible, but it's never gonna be factory clean. So one tip that actually came out of my group that, I think is a good one is the pellet box itself and, where you put the pellet box. Do not try to take the black buildup off of it. This is gonna help reduce reflectiveness and lower the risk of a little flare-ups in there, okay, a little flammage. So the whole idea of this pellet hopper is to smolder and let the smoke go through. You do not want those pellets to actually catch fire and provide a flame going in there. You just want that slow burn, the smolder of those pellets, and that's what produces the smoke in there. So anything you do to avoid that, just like I've shown you in the past, you take that wire brush, you brush it down a little bit, knock off those heavy duty particles. You don't want them burning and smoky through your wood fire grill, right? So don't try to take it to factory finish, okay? Pretty simple. If your pellet lid is sticking, don't worry about it. Again, take that little wire brush, take a little, a little scrubby pad and just scrub around the outside, where it's actually sticking. Don't try to take the paint off. Don't, get hardcore with it. But you want to kind of wipe off that sticky parts or anything that's causing stickage, and you should be good to go. Tip number 6, it's a quick tip. Just like the indoor Foodi grills, right? The temperatures run a little hotter. Just like I talked about the condensed space being, what's causing the smoke to be a little bit heavier in there. It is a condensed space for cooking, so the heat gets in there a little bit more. So if you're cooking something that actually has a time that you want to cook with, on the package it says 350. What I always do with these little grills, and same with the indoor grills, I will drop it down to 325. I usually knock off about 25 degrees anytime I cook something that has a recommended time. When I'm doing my own recipe, I build a recipe to the temperature that I want to use for the wood fire grill or my Foodi grills. So you can use my temperatures that I put on my videos, but if you're getting something off a box, off a package, whatever, drop it by 25 degrees and see if that'll help kind of ease up that temperature. So tip number 7, talking about cooking with the lid open. Since there is a heating element underneath that grill plate, you can cook with the lid open. So when I'm grilling like thinner proteins, not a brisket, not a big ass steak, right? If I have a thin ribeye or I have a thin pork chop, or I'm cooking some fish, I'm cooking some shrimps or whatever, stuff that cooks a little bit quickly, I will cook with the lid up, okay? You don't need the heat coming on the top, while you're getting that grill from the bottom, because you're gonna give it a flip right quick. It'll be done really quickly. I did some tomahawk steaks that were 2-inch thick boys. That I shut the top down, okay? We did a reverse sear on that, turned out beautiful. I'll put the video for that right there. Using the griddle plate. So some of you might not know you can buy a griddle plate that sits on top of the grill plate. You can get that from Ninja on the website. I'll throw a link below if they still have them on there. I think they do. Use it like any other griddle, your burgers, your cheesesteaks, breakfasts, pancakes, whatever. So the way I use it, I'll turn it to the grill setting. I'll take it to the high temp, probably around 400, 450. Have my grill plate in there, shut it down, let it go through the preheating process. So you're getting that heat from the top, you're getting the heat from the bottom. Once that preheating is done, then I'll open that lid and start my cooking. I haven't done a lot of griddle recipes with my wood fire. Actually, I believe I only have one on the channel. But to me, I've been treating this really like an outdoor cooker where I want to do grilling, I want to do smoking. So I don't do too much beyond that. But once you get that griddle fired up, you'll have the heat from the bottom, from the grill plate, still heating through. So you cook everything like you normally would on a griddle. Okay, tip number 9, we're talking about the different functions on the wood fire grill. So to me, y'all know about grilling. You're getting to know that smoking feature, the smoker feature, the air frying feature. You guys should probably be pretty up on that too. You guys need to know that you can use the wood fire button through any of these features. So if you turn it to that bake setting and you want to put a little wood fire flavor in there, all you do is turn it to bake, hit that wood fire button, it'll go through the process to add that smoke, okay? So any of the functions you could add smoke. You want to do some jerky on the dehydrate function, same thing, turn it to the hydrate function part on the dial, and then hit the wood fire button, okay? It'll go through the process, you'll get some smoke during the dehydrating process. Using the bake and the roast functions, to me, I'll treat the bake function like the oven, you know, baking some bread at 350 or whatever. The roast function is a little bit more concentrated heat, right? So you're getting that nice roasty, toasty feature, right? That broil function is just a lot of top-down heat to get that sear, get the char, all that good stuff you like about the broil feature in your oven, right? So sear, I'm looking, grill, smoker, air crisp, bake, roast. Okay, we went through everything. So guys, if you stuck around this far, hit the thumbs up. I appreciate you being here. I know this is a lot of me just talking to the camera, but I figure this is the best way to get my tips and tricks out. And we're on our last one, okay? So number 10, timing internal temps. Now, if you watch any of my videos, you'll hear me say it over and over again. We cook to internal temperatures on the protein, not to a time limit. So if I got a brisket, I am not gonna tell you, cook it for 7 hours, because you never know how it goes. Meat's different, your elevation is different, humidity is different. There's a lot of different factors in your cook, right? So that's why you use internal temperatures. And again, we'll use an instant read thermometer or our wireless thermometer that Temps spikes. This one happens to be the Lightning by ThermoPro, who happens to be, you know, a channel friend, a sponsor, right? If you don't mind, grab yourself one of these Lightnings or Temps spikes. I'll put a link down below. Thank you, ThermoPro. Sorry, sometimes you got to sell out to a little bit of the corporateness going on out in the world. Plus, I really like my ThermoPro products, so I don't mind sharing them on my channel. But after all that is said, someone actually did bring up a pretty good point. Now, if you cook a brisket at 500 degrees, right? You set your wood fire to 500 degrees and you cook it, right? It's going to hit 200 degrees relatively quickly. Relatively, it's a big piece of meat, right? But it will not be cooked properly. It'll seize up, it'll be real tight. Nothing will break down there. The proteins, the collagens, any of that fat, none of it will break down. It'll just be one big hunk of meteorite, basically. So it is kind of on me to give you guys some ballpark times when I'm doing my videos, and I will do that going forward. But you got to kind of think about things if you're cooking low and slow, right? So you cook that brisket at 250 degrees on the smoker setting. It will take a lot longer, but it'll have a nice slow cook, especially if you use my technique and you wrap it and braise it in liquid and all that. But it'll give a nice slow cook, and it'll give time for that fat to render, for the collagens to break down, for the proteins to break down and get nice and tender and lovely and all that, right? So think about it that way. Some crazy heat will seize up any protein, but if you take a little bit of time, again, it'll give you time to break everything down. So when I build my recipes, I'm building them either for low and slow cooking, like I just described, or a hot and fast technique, which is not 500 degrees hot, right? But I have the experience to cook something at 350 degrees, you know, a big piece of protein. I know how to work with it. I know how to wrap it. I know how to braise it, give it time to still break down, right? Even when the temperatures hit to where we want them to be. So in my videos, I'm showing you how I do it, whether it's hot and fast or low and slow. I'm showing you my experiences, how to make it work. If you're unsure of how to make things work with the times and the temperatures and all that, take some time to watch the videos. You don't even have to watch all of mine. There's plenty of great videos out there on how to, cook in this wood fire. But I have the experience and the know-how to kind of build recipes around either way of doing things, hot and fast or low and slow, okay? But going forward, I will definitely put the time it takes for me to do a whole cook. Not so you can necessarily say, I know this is gonna take 7 hours, because like I said, it's gonna be a ballpark time, but it'll give you an idea of how much time you need in your day to do a cook. So keep that in mind. As they say, your mileage may vary, right? Again, there's tons of disclaimers as I go here. I feel like I've got plenty of experience on this, and I wanna show you how things work for me, so you guys have a great experience with your wood fire grill, right? Now let's go over the review. All right, so my initial review is this. It is a great little cooker. I think it's amazing for people who want to have a smoker that live in condos or apartments or live in motorhomes that want to take it on the road. All right, you don't have to carry a big old Traeger back there, right? And most apartments out there won't let you have a smoker on your balcony either, condos. So something like this will get you that barbecue smoker type flavor you want, right? I think it's very beneficial. I think this is a perfect cooker for someone who's a little intimidated by a big smoker, a big grill. This will get you kind of like entry level steps to get you where you want to be. Basically, in essence, I wholeheartedly endorse this machine. Obviously, I use it on my channel here, but again, I wouldn't use anything that I don't really dig. and this is something I dig and I don't mind creating recipes for. Y'all seem to like it too. Moral of the story, I would recommend this to anybody, okay? In fact, if you want to get yourself one and you don't have one already, links down below to Ninja Kitchen. It is an affiliate link. It doesn't cost you anything more to use, but it helps your boy out, make good videos for you guys. So if you want to grab one, grab one. There'll be links down below for anything and everything in my videos. All right, I'll put one for that griddle plate if you want to get one for the wood fire, for the ThermoPro Lightning. All the stuff we used and talked about in these videos, we'll set it up, all right? If you want to become a show producer like all these amazing people scrolling in front of me, people that, you know, enjoy a good tips and tricks kind of video like this one, hit that join button right next to the subscribe button, which you should have already hit by now, right? But other than that, I'm done talking. I need to get me some water. Listen, I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week. Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for talking with CJ. Y'all take care.